What should we start with? I guess we alluded to this earlier, but GTA, the trilogy, the definitive edition,
Not being a good time. Well,
it's not had a great
yeah,
launch.
it's not had a great launch.
Firstly, I think you still can't play the game on PC. So Rockstar took down like the ability to buy the game on PC, and people who have bought the game can't actually launch it because they are removing some files that shouldn't be there. And it turns out those files are potentially music that they lost license to a while back, and also controversially that hot coffee thing.
This is the mini game, yeah.
Which is fucking bizarre considering Rockstar paid 20 million in fines for including that the very first time, and they somehow did not take it out.
Yeah.
That just blows my fucking mind. Like, I cannot believe that.
It's a very expensive mistake to repeat.
I just like, how do you accidentally keep that in? It just makes no sense to me. So
yeah.
Yeah, that's been unplayable since launch, which is crazy.
And not only that, if you want, you're like, oh, I don't want the remaster, I'm just gonna go buy the original. Those have been delisted, if I'm not mistaken, or in the process of being delisted. So yeah, not a good time for Rockstar at the moment.
And it's not just on PC that there's issues. There's performance issues across all consoles. Bugs, progression bugs, crashes. Just a real bad time all around. There's a tweet here in this Eurogamer article where one user says the game freezes in San Andreas on Xbox Series X every time he starts a mission checkpoints. So that save is basically fucked.
Nice.
Yeah, and people are just requesting refunds. Apparently, performance on Switch is terrible. Like, it just chugs on Switch.
The 15 to 20 minutes I've played of GTA 3 was fine.
Okay.
But I mean, I haven't done anything hectic. I haven't blown things up or had a lot of action happening on the screen yet. So that remains to be seen, I guess.
What a wild time that, like, around, well, a few weeks to the year, this time last year, we were going through the
same thing
Cyberpunk 2077 debacle, and this year turns out to be a re-release of 3 of the most influential open world games ever.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how Rockstar, like, put this out, where they just, like, really pushed by the anniversary timing, you know? Like, I don't get it.
It's funny you mentioned Cyberpunk. I think I saw a tweet or something this morning of, so Twitter was a mistake because whatever you tweet lives there forever. I think it is a tweet from a Take-Two boss or an executive basically criticizing Cyberpunk and CD Projekt, saying like, you shouldn't release a game, you shouldn't rush to release a game or whatever it was, but that is the context, and people are now like, have you seen your trilogy, dude?
My goodness, tweets that never aged well. It seems to always happen. Like, always happen. I don't understand this. And you know what makes me sad about this is that they were going to use this is what Take-Two said. I don't know if it's entirely true, but they were going to use the performance of this remaster to determine whether they worked on a Red Dead Redemption remaster. And my thinking is that you don't start work on a project like this based on the sales. They've probably started on that already, but whether it ever sees the light of day after this nonsense, whether people want to see it see the light of day, because that game is really good and you can still play it, backwards compatible
Xbox
pretty easily. So, like, do you want a broken ass version of that? So,
yeah, I can't say that I do personally.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh goodness, I'm getting so many Apple ads. Why? I'm not even looking at Apple Watches.
Because we were talking about iPods earlier, that's why.
They're listening to us.
They're listening.
What is next?
Let's work through this duo of Xbox news, I think.
Okay, sweet.
This asshole Alessandro Barbosa wrote this article on GameSpot.
Oh, wrong one. Which one am I looking at?
The Xbox app one.
The Windows Store. Okay,
yeah. So I mean, if you've ever bought games from the Windows Store, bless you, or use the Xbox Game Pass app on PC, you'll know that Microsoft gets real restrictive over sometimes, especially from the Windows Store where you can install apps. It's not so much of an issue on the Xbox Game Pass app, but they like heavily restrict your access to those files because they considered, universal Windows platform games or whatever the fuck. So they finally are changing that. There's a new update that is rolling out to Xbox Insiders on Windows 11 soon that will essentially turn both the Windows Store and the Xbox app into more like Steam competitors. You will be able to choose where you want to install the games. You can choose in which folders you want to install the games. You will have full access to those files. And with that comes support for mods, because now that you have access to those files, you can inject mods into games you're grabbing off Game Pass. And the Xbox app will also allow you to manage mods from the app itself. Games that support apps or that support mods that it sees will let you just like manage them from the Xbox app directly, which is pretty great.
Nice.
Not sure why it took this long for this to happen, because the Windows Store has been a problem for years now. But thank goodness. I guess if Microsoft is getting more and more and more serious about PC gaming, they were eventually going to get to this point.
They'd have to do it.
Yeah, it's great to see. Not sure when this is out, fully to everyone, but I assume insiders will be testing this around the time that Halo Infinite launches. So I would, guess somewhere after then it will come out to everyone. So that's great.
Cool. Huzzah. Do you want to keep with the Xbox theme?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this $10,000 Xbox Series X console?
I don't know much about it other than Xbox and Gucci have partnered up to release a Xbox Series X Gucci console, which costs a cool $10,000.
We Gucci.
We Gucci gang. If you're looking at the video feed, you can see it. It is a patent Xbox Series X. And does it come with this big ass carry case? I sincerely hope so.
It looks awful.
Awful.
Maybe I just don't understand Gucci design, but it looks awful.
Is this just meant to tie in with the upcoming Gucci film, or just the brand? Like, I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine. That bag, that whole Xbox thing on the front just looks like someone did that in paint. Let's be honest. It looks terrible.
I don't know much about...
The controller's pretty cool.
Yeah, but I mean, even that, it's the default controller with 2 straps on it. It looks like.
And then you've got the Gucci patterning on the Series X as well.
Series X. Yeah, so look, I don't know the Gucci brand that well, but I'm like, are those straps like iconic in some way? I assume so, but for $10,000, it's like, how much is an Xbox Series X?
$500.
$500. Okay, so you're paying an extra $9,500 for the branding and the bag. So
and I'm like, extra controller.
And an extra controller. Is this bag itself worth $9,000?
But it shouldn't be, because that Xbox branding on it looks so awful. It's just know. That's so bad. Yeah, I don't know. There's only 100 being created, and this is definitely one of those things like, I have enough money to buy this, so I will, to show off type of thing. Like, no normal person is buying this shit.
And you know what? It's funny because people will buy this and they will be collector's items, and they probably will be worth a lot more money one day.
Probably.
This upsets me.
It's just, yeah.
You could buy one Gucci Gang Xbox or 20 just regular Xbox Series X's. I mean, I don't know. Choice is yours.
I wonder how bad the demand for an Xbox Series X is, that maybe someone will actually consider this just because they can't get a normal one.
No, come on. That's pushing it. Holy hell. You have to really have a lot of money to just burn through to consider
that. And I'm thinking, if you've got the money to burn, you already probably just bought a second-hand one on like eBay or something.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of other consoles which are hard to find, the Playdate has been delayed to early 2022.
This is a bit of a bummer. I have a pre-order for a Playdate in, and I got this email basically the first 2 batches were meant to ship this year, but the creators Panic, did their first sample run of like 5,000 units, and got them into the studio and discovered that they weren't up to the standard that they were expecting. Essentially, the battery they had chosen wasn't going to support the multiple day battery life that they had promised. Yeah, and
Hectic.
instead of just shipping that out to customers, they scrapped all 5,000 of those, found a replacement battery part, and put in a new order at their factories, which is the biggest reason for the delay.
Yeah.
Other reasons, obviously, are just the semiconductor shortage. It's causing havoc for the development of this thing. They had to redesign the main board to work around component shortages because there was one component that wouldn't be in stock for the next like 3 years apparently, so
Yeah.
that was just not going to work. So yeah, essentially the orders have been delayed to early 2022, and obviously that's pushed back all orders depending on what batch you got into. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
mean, I respect them for not just shipping that shit out with a bad battery. So
yeah. And
yeah.
for those of you who have no idea what the hell a Playdate is, it's this modern day console which is very reminiscent of an old school Game Boy, like literally the black and white Game Boy, but it's got a crank on the side and it has a whole lot of games being made by some really great devs.
Yeah,
So yeah.
developers all over the world, and it's the games are going to be like airdropped to the console essentially, during some seasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool. I'm keen for it because it just looks like a really fun,
It's
interesting
just yeah,
toy.
it's like a different retro looking console. And
Yeah,
aesthetically it looks really nice. I think it's
yeah.
awesome.
Aesthetically, it's a lovely looking console, and I think I'm keen to see what interesting games people will make with this little crank thing.
You
So yeah.
best believe there will be a fishing game. At least one of
Oh
them.
yeah, at least. So I think when it in the first season, there's like 2 new games every week. So
Okay.
yeah, and then there's also like a games editor that launches with it,
Oh,
so you can make your own games as well.
damn.
So
Damn, Daniel.
pretty
Cool.
cool.
And then last few pieces of news. Quantic Dreams, makers of iconic hits like Jason Simulator, Jason Callout Game.
Press X to Jason.
Well, Quantic Dreams, people who made Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and what's the last one called? The recent one? Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit. Too
The
Human or something. No,
yeah. No, I think you're no, not Detroit.
it was
Maybe
Detroit, but I
Too
don't know
Human.
the. I've forgotten the some.
Okay,
Mankind Divided. No,
nope.
hold on.
Okay,
I have to look.
their next game is reportedly
Become
called
Human. That's
Become
it.
Human. Okay, their next game is reportedly called Star Wars Eclipse. So are we pushing a Push X to Obi-Wan game? Any time will
Yeah,
tell.
yeah, I don't know. So this was Quantic Dream making a Star Wars game was rumored a few weeks back, and
Mm,
now Jeff Grubb has basically said that it's going to show up somewhere soon. I would assume Game Awards,
mm,
and yeah, called Star Wars Eclipse. Apparently, will be set during the High Republic era, which is a new era of Star Wars that Disney launched like a year or two ago. That has mostly only been explored through books and comics.
nice.
So it's a more medieval take on Star Wars, like a time in the Republic when it was like that sort of vibe. You know what I mean?
Mm,
So yeah, Jeff Grubb says it will be announced before the end of the year. So and it
cool.
takes place around 200 years before the events of the Star Wars: The Phantom Menace, and 800 years after fall of the Old Republic. So it's between your Old Republic games and your actual films. So yeah.
Damn, Daniel. So yeah, I'm quite keen to see what that shapes up to be.
Yeah.
And then last piece of news. Rainbow Six Extraction will be $40 and comes with free buddy passes. This is
I totally forgot
the
this game existed.
yeah, because I think it was pushed out.
Mm.
Hang on, has an official release date of so it's around the corner. It's January 20th, 2022. And yeah, it seems to be just a co-op shooter, survive. Oh, PvE, I guess, is the correct term to go with there. But what's funny is that when the first trailer came out, I thought it was a zombie game, but it turns out it's more alien-esque.
Yeah, it's like gooey aliens. It's strange. So
Yeah.
I think if initially it was going to be released as a $60 game, and there was a bit of pushback on that because a lot of people saw this as sort of like an expansion to Rainbow Six, not
Yeah.
necessarily a whole brand new game. So
Yeah.
yeah, $40 seems like probably a better price point.
And with 2 buddy
And
passes, which is pretty
yeah,
neat.
the buddy pass is cool. It essentially lets 2 of your friends play the game for 14 days for free, and if they buy the game, their progression will carry over.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
That's neat.
Yeah, that's neat. I don't know. That doesn't. I watch the gameplay and it doesn't really spur any strong feelings up in me. So
Yeah, a game we do want to play though. This Elden Ring preview, which keeps getting served to me. Go away, stop it.
I want it. I really want it.
I can't believe we didn't get access to the preview weekend. I'm so upset.
Oh, I don't even think I applied. I totally forgot about it.
No, I applied, but it's also one of those things of like I just want to play the game when it comes out.
Yeah,
so,
same.
Yeah.
Same. I'm it's close enough. If it was like a year away,
Oh
I'd
my
be
goodness,
like salivating at the chance to play this, but it's like what, not even 3 months away, so I can wait. Yeah.
So close. But
So close.
yeah, that's gaming news this week.